Get ready to get shticky. Shticky Situations is sponsored by Corona Crush. Corona Crush is creating Jewish couples always. Join the Facebook group. Just search Corona Crush and look out for virtual speed dating events happening every other week. They're 100% free and 100% Jewish. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Shticky Situations. I'm your host, Rachel, which obviously you already know because I'm unforgettable. Everyone, right now, whatever platform you're listening on, if you are not already subscribed or followed, hit that subscribe/follow button. If the platform allows for it, give us a 5-star rating, a glowing review, like Shticky Situations page on Facebook, follow Shticky Situations Pod on Instagram, follow Shticky Situations Pod on TikTok. If you would like to be a guest on my podcast, you could send me a DM on Instagram at Shticky Situations Pod, or you can send me an email at stickySituationsPod@gmail.com. There's also a link to like an application in my Corona Crush posts. But if it's easier to DM, one of those, I'd love to have you on. I love meeting new people, having new guests. Same goes for if you would like to date any of my single guests. You know that I want to try to be a shotgun. So if you are interested in anyone you hear, reach out, but only the single ones. Okay, guys, we have an extra special guest today, so we're going to get right into it. Everyone, please welcome my friend, Netanel. Netanel, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I didn't know I was an extra special one, but I'm honored to be so.
Well, you are extra special, but I consider all of my guests to be extra special guests because anyone who wants to come onto Shticky Situations is extra special in my eyes. I mean, you happen to be one of my friends, so obviously you're extra special. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm honored to be here, really. Like this is like peak right now. This is like the whole week is set from here. Yom Ha'atzmaut is this week, but like this is where we're peaking for the week.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. I've been looking forward to this one also. I'm hoping this is going to be a really fun episode. But yeah, so before we get into anything, can you tell me and my listeners your age, location, relationship status, and religious denomination?
So I am 25 years old. I currently live in Herzliya in Israel. I'm single, and my religious denomination is trying my best. But my other religious denomination is always plugging. So please subscribe to this podcast. Okay, it's very important.
Thank you. I think before we get into your stories, I just want to tell the story of how we actually met because I think it's funny.
I think that's a great dating story on its own.
It is. I mean, I'm gonna spoil it for you guys. We didn't date, but
No.
okay. I think I've talked about it before on the podcast, but when I started the podcast, at this point when you're listening, it's over 2 years ago. No, I think we probably met about 2 years ago.
Maybe a little
Probably
bit more,
when you guys are
actually.
gonna be
I was still in
listening.
America at the time.
Yeah, it was like summer 2022.
Yeah,
Because
that
it was
sounds
like
right.
it was right when I started the podcast. So I don't remember why I actually did it, but I think it was just for the shtick of it. I still have it. But I have a dating application and it's just like a Google Doc. And I put a bunch of questions. I think I just got really frustrated on a date and I saw this girl on TikTok do it. And I'm like, I'm gonna do this for the shtick and see if anything comes of it. So I was like posting it on I think I still have it on some of my dating app profiles. And so I had it on my dating app profiles and I got I like posted on my social media. I don't even remember. I think I posted on the podcast social media. And so people were filling it out. And I get this like guy who filled it out. He's like 23. Oh, no, no. This is before I even put an age on it. I think after that I put, or no, maybe not after that.
No, my age was on there, and I
Oh,
think
it
that
was
was the
on there.
first indication of like this is not a thing.
No. So, but whatever. I like would message the people anyways. So we started chatting and like right away he was like, "Yeah, I'm 23. I'm making Aliyah and I'm Shomer Nagia." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. So we're not gonna date." I was 28 at the time. I'm like, listen, I'm very open to living in Israel under certain circumstances, but like I'm not jumping. Well, now circumstances are bad in America, but so
True.
I'm probably even more willing to jump on a plane now. But at the time, I'm like, I'm not jumping on a plane, and I'm like, Shomer Nagia really isn't my thing.
But an
But
important thing to note about me is I am not great at dating apps, but I love Google Forms. I'm obsessed with them. So much so that I made two Google Forms. One of them was a friendship application where I specifically said, please do not put down your real email or anything. Like, this isn't actually to get in contact with me. This is just an application. If you put down a real email, I will ignore your application. And another one was just a shtick one that was just a lot of silly questions. I got over 400 responses on that one. It was meant to be like a survey thing like people do for classes, but it was all bad questions.
but where did you post them to get so many responses?
Over COVID, there were so many Jewish groups, Corona groups. There was Meet Jew Dating. I post it there or did I post it through Zoom University Hillel? One of those two, I posted to one of them. I was just bored and I was finishing my degree at the time. And like tail end of the degree, I had like one or two classes. I was just kind of sitting around in the house apartment, whatever you want to call it, all day. It was a full house. It was a very nice house we lived in. But the benefits of not living in New York, by the way, fun fact, guys, you can actually live in a house. It's really cool.
Well, not all my listeners are in New York, just some of them.
Yeah, I'm just shout out to
But
the non-New York listeners. Although that
yeah,
being said, I do live in an apartment right now because Herzliya prices are insane.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so back to apartment life. But I'm sure your apartment is still bigger than most New York apartments.
very much so, and significantly cheaper, I'd imagine.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
But but yeah, so then we just like became friends and we started chatting and we're still friends to this day when I remember to text him back.
yeah.
I'm very bad with, okay, I'm very good at texting people back if it's like, if they like ask me a question, something like that. But it's more like when I have to like take time to answer like a bunch of messages, then I'm like, oh, okay. Then I just like, I have to be in the
No, I
mental
think it's
headspace for it.
great. I think
And
we've
then I
gotten to a
forget
point in our
sometimes.
conversation that like we're both very non-judgmental about that, and like we're both okay with that. We both understand. So like if we take time to respond, that's totally okay. Also, I think we're up to like 12 messages each time. So it's not something you'd be able to like quickly do while you're like on the bus or something. I guess it's on the bus. I
Yeah.
don't know. Depends how
No, I
long on the
usually
bus.
answer you when I'm on the train.
That works.
But yeah, so long distance friendships, everybody. They are possible. But
Yeah.
they're better, they're good when they're low. Our friendship is very low maintenance and it's great.
You just
But
have to be like understanding of each other. I think that's a big thing.
yeah, exactly. So, listen, that's another thing. I think we've said it in the last few episodes that you never know what someone is going to become in your life. Like when you meet someone, it like doesn't hurt to be nice to someone because like they could just end up being your friend and that's fine. Like you shouldn't go into every situation, even if it's meant for dating. Like my application was meant for dating and singles events and things like that. Like you can't just go in and being like, oh, I'm looking for my husband and I'm looking for my husband only, or my wife. I'm looking for my spouse. I'm looking for my spouse only. It's like sometimes people could just turn out to be good friends, or you
Yeah,
never know.
while we were doing the like Zoom, one of my friends ran the Meet Your University speed dating things on Zoom. They were sorry to you to shout out to her, but they were not well run. I'm sorry. And whenever I'd end up in a room, in a breakout room with another man, they'd always just be like, "Oh," and then they'd either log off or they'd just like be quiet the whole time. And I was like, I'm not here for the dating. Like, this is weird. This is not the way that we're actually going to date realistically. That being said, I did get a date from that, but that's a whole different story. Like, that's not the way I'm like thinking about this. I was coming in here because I thought it was funny and my friend was running it. I even had another friend behind me doing it the whole time.
Yeah, I don't I my shout out to my sponsor Corona Crush. Like I've done their speed dating sometimes and I don't think I made friends through there, but I have gotten my friends on there and it's like fun. So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so much fun to run into someone you know on there.
yeah. But okay, do you want to start off with a story?
Okay. I have a few stories. Most recent story is actually a kind of a little saga. So for the listeners, do you have a name for your fan base?
Shticky Situation Nation.
Sticky Situation Nation. That's going to be a little long for me. SSN. So for the SSN, For the SSN, it should be noted that I am not someone who has been in a lot of long-term relationships per se. Most of my experience comes from like one date, two dates, and usually we're very chill afterward. There's no real like hate or animosity or anything. It's usually just like one of us says like, "Hey, it's not going to work out." Normal, the classic things. So about a year ago, I went on a date with someone. Didn't work out. She said no. Also made sense. To be fair, at the time, I really didn't have my life together. I was like trying to apply to every single place, and I was consulting for a bunch of startups. Now I'm better than that, I guess, but not like much. It's just a little bit better, more organized, and more consistent, I should say. And I went on another date, and that one didn't work out either. To be fair, no offense to either of these women, they're both lovely women. But she did inform me that she failed every single class of hers for her first year of college, and I really don't know why she chose to share that with me on a first date. It was very out of the blue, also.
Yeah, that's weird.
But yeah, it's not been uncommon for me that people will share things out of the blue. But anyway, that's a side point. So both of these ended fine. I go to one of my former roommates' weddings, and I see one of them, the one from a year ago. I say, "Okay, hey, how you doing?" She's like, "Hey, very nice." I go on with my life. I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Then I see the second one, and I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of funny. This is another woman that I went on a date with. That's kind of interesting." And she's a little cold to me, but I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Like it's more recent. She needs a little bit more time. I'm watching the chuppah and I see both of them standing next to each other. And one of them turns over her shoulder and just looks directly at me while they're talking. And I just realized for a moment they knew and they were talking. And I don't know what could possibly be so bad that they were talking about, but they were talking about me for some reason. These were both like setup dates. These weren't like anything serious. And it kept going throughout the night. They would kind of like give me a side eye occasionally, but they wouldn't like talk to me, even though the first one was very nice to me. The second one was a little colder. I don't understand it. Um, but generally, if it's that short, unless I've done something really terrible, and if I have, please do inform me if I've done something terrible. I would love to know that. Always trying to do better. But if I've done something terrible, tell me. Otherwise, why? Why was that necessary? And then more and more other friends of mine started to like meet them and be like, "Oh, those are the two that you went on a date with." I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do about this situation because they're like now talking to all my friends, but they seem to not want to talk to me. And this is my roommate's wedding. I feel weird here." Long story short, I ripped my pants on the dance floor.
Oh no.
Total side thing. Ripped my pants on the dance floor. My grandmother lived a block away and fixed them, came back. They were kind of like doing their own thing. Everything worked out perfectly.
Oh
I
my
should
gosh.
say my stories are not so messy. They're all like theoretically messy.
So wait, did they say anything to any of your other friends?
No, they just said like, "Oh yeah, you know that guy?" Like one of my friends was like, "Yeah, they mentioned like they one of them went on a date with you or something like that." And I was like, "They both went on a date with me." They didn't like start drama. I'm not sure what the reasoning was for like being cold to me. It had also been like I say recently, but it had been 3 months at that point, and we ended very nicely. We had a nice conversation. I like I sort of did that classic issue where on a first date where you're like, "Oh, next time, huh?" Um, but she started that, so I was like kind of playing into it, but then I immediately felt bad about it. Heads up, by the way, good lesson. On a first date, unless you're like really confident, don't just say like, "Ah, ha, ha, next time." That's a that's a risky move. That's a real risk one.
So wait, were you the one to end it with both of them?
No, the first one ended it with me. The second one I ended it with. Um,
Okay, that's why.
so it makes
That's why the
sense,
first one
but
was nice to you and the second
it
one
was
wasn't.
super amicable, both of them. Like they were both just like, "Yeah, I get that. Like I understand how it's not going to work out." And yeah, to be fair, like the first one I was probably a lot for. The second one seemed like a bit much for me. So I'm looking for like a middle ground there. Both of these absolutely lovely women. If they hear this, um, I'm sorry for dragging you. But also no one will know who you are. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I know multiple
That's
people who have
just,
failed every class of their first year, so it's okay. Don't worry.
oh my gosh. That's just funny that like they were giving you the side eye and talking about you. But
Yeah,
you went on one date with each one.
I went on one date with each one. The first one, by the way, did not seem to care to talk about me at all. She was just kind of like, okay. And then like
Oh,
look over their shoulder and was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then like went on with her life. But because they were friends, and I guess they didn't really know a lot of the people because it was like a very Herzliya wedding because my roommate and my former roommate and his wife also lived here. But yeah, I don't know. Very bizarre.
so weird.
I don't get talked about very often. It's not like a thing. I'm not someone you gossip about because I don't know what to gossip about.
I don't think I can say the same, but that's okay.
Are you someone, are you trying to say you stir some drama?
I don't know. Trauma sometimes follows me. I'm
That's
also not the
exactly
most
what someone who stirs drama would say, huh?
I'm also not the most quiet about things. So like
So
I'll
that's I'm super quiet about things. Complete opposites here in that regard.
I'll tell people off. Like, I don't
I'll
know. There were
not.
my friends are like, ugh, who'd you get into a fight with this time? Like, not an actual physical fight, but like, I don't know. People just like start drama. Not drama, but like, I'm trying to think of my last like dumb fight. I told you guys the story on my last episode about how I got into a fight on with a guy on Curb Crush speed dating because he was just rude to me. So I just like told him off.
I will
That
say
was the thing.
huge benefit. No offense, I apologize in advance. Being a man, less men are creepy to me. Huge advantage. Huge.
Yeah, or they're just like not people are just like not nice. Like I don't know. This was a while ago. This is around the Super Bowl, so this was months ago already. But some guy at shul who I'm like friendly with came up to me in shul and he's like, everyone knows I'm a big Swiftie. So he comes up to me, he's like, you ready for the big game? Like Super Bowl, whatever, ready to see Taylor. And we were talking about it. And this guy and I are friendly, and he was just like, he knows that I like Taylor Swift, so we're talking about it. And some other guy just comes up. We're not talking to him, but he's like in the kiddish line, and he just comes up to me and he's like, "Nobody cares." So then I yelled at him, and we got into a fight at shul.
I
I'm
am a
like,
football fan. Men start drama about this all the time.
yeah, I'm
It's
like,
so
can you just
unnecessary.
leave me alone? Like, I don't care if you don't like what I'm talking about. I am not even talking to you. Like,
Yeah,
if you want to go be have your toxic masculinity somewhere else, like, but yeah. So I guess yeah, I just say it like it is. I will call people out and
deserved.
yeah, but so yeah, people probably do talk about me, but that's okay.
That is okay. Honestly, I think it's better to be talked about than to not be. As much as
Yeah,
it's
it
like
means
comfortable to not be, it's also like weird. It's super cool to be like you're the talk of the town. Like everyone kind of you're always on their mind, you know?
yeah, I don't think I'm the talk of the town, but I would say that I'm not anonymous.
I would say we all need to act like we're the talk of the town. Like that's the like mindset that we should have. That's the main character energy.
Always act like the main character. Yeah, main character energy.
Exactly.
Okay, let's hear some more stories.
This is a side note, by the way, just to give a little thing about my personality. I saw a TikTok earlier today, or yesterday rather, that said you either know who Chapel Roan is or you know about the Kendrick and Drake beef. And I I'm both. I'm that cross section. It's crazy. Ah,
I only
now
know
you
about
know a
the
little bit
latter.
about me. Only about the Kendrick and Drake beef.
Yeah.
Highly recommend Chapel Roan. Fantastic. Super talented artist. But yeah, no, Kendrick and Drake beef, it keeps getting worse. Not like worse in the sense of like I'm enjoying it still, but it's like getting
No,
way
they
more
keep going
dramatic.
lower and lower and lower. And then they brought Taylor into it because, of course, everything's about Taylor. So,
But they're both positive about Taylor, so it's all good.
yeah, I know. Like, Drake is all buddy buddy with Taylor, but like Kendrick and Taylor, and then Jack Antonoff, who's like Taylor's buddy, produced one of Kendrick's songs.
Yeah. Well, that
That's
was
the only
because
reason I'm in
Drake,
the know about it. Once Taylor Swift gets involved, is dragged into it, like, that's why I know about it.
so there are definitely some artists like that for me. I'd say Kendrick is one of those for me. Other ones would be like Renee Rapp is like a big one for me. These are like dichotomy of man in this
But she's pro
regard.
Pally.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. There are a lot of pro Pally artists, though.
Yeah, I've been
I don't know what to
boycotting.
do about that. I think
I
for
blame that.
me, if it bothers me enough that like I'll think about it while I'm listening, then I won't. But otherwise, I'm like a single stream and I like music too much. So yeah.
Yeah. There are certain artists that I need to block from my Spotify. I haven't been able to yet, but
That's super fair. There are some artists like I can't deal with, like Billie Eilish and Phineas, mainly because I didn't really listen to them so strongly
I don't
beforehand.
even like them
So
anyway, so it does not
yeah.
affect me at all.
Um,
But apparently Lizzo said something and I was like, "Oh, this hurts."
Lizzo also just said she was getting out of the music industry. So I don't know, because of
Yeah, I
her
don't
whole
know.
lawsuit situation. I don't know, whatever. I feel
Okay.
like you're going to get so much hate mail if we talk about pop culture the whole time. Because I'm going to be
Okay,
like, I
okay, okay.
support Kendrick Lamar in the Drake and Kendrick beef. And then someone's going to come after you and be like, no.
No, I support Kendrick too. I think he's closer to Taylor Swift, and Drake signed that stupid ceasefire thing, and Drake is a Jew and he hasn't spoken for Israel, so Drake is canceled in my book right now.
Also, Drake was canceled regardless. There were like multiple grooming allegations before the pedophilia allegations.
Oh,
It
okay.
wasn't like it was
Oh.
looking good for him before this.
Drake is
Um,
canceled. The only thing I will have anything to do with Drake is watch Degrassi.
I've never seen Degrassi.
Degrassi is a good binge watch. If anybody's looking for a high school drama binge watch that is a lot of seasons, that's going to take you a good amount of time to watch, I recommend Degrassi. It covers all the issues that we did not deal with in Modern Orthodox High School.
Shout out to all my slightly ADHD people who, when they see a show that's like 7 seasons long, go, not for me, sir. And then instead find like 2 season shows.
No, so I'm really bad at making decisions and I don't like change. So if I see a show that's like 14 seasons, like, yes, please. Like, this is going to occupy my time. I don't have to think about what to watch that's new. And I'm a loyalist. Like, I become loyal to my show.
Super
And,
fair.
but then
As soon as I
when I
start
finish
watching, though,
it, when I
as
finish it, I'm like, shoot, I'm about to have a life crisis.
I get
Like
that
when I
every time I
finish,
rewatch BoJack Horseman, Life Crisis every single time.
I rewatched,
It's
so
so
I watched
good.
Degrassi actually for the first time maybe a year or two ago. I think I finished it last summer. I think it literally took me a year to finish, but when I finished it, I was like, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know what to watch. I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. But it's okay. I still don't know what to watch. I just watched The Real Housewives.
That works. I never know what to watch. I just finished watching The Circle, and my roommate and I really want to go on together. So if anyone from The Circle is listening to this right now, a guy and his roommate would love to be on your show, please let us know. I've already applied. My application is there. So a running issue with me in dating is I have very awkward setups. I don't think people check setups in general. I don't know if you've had this experience, but I think people set them up from like one side and not the other usually.
Interesting. I mean, I don't get that many people setting me up. Um, I've had, honestly, my setup experiences haven't been that bad.
They're
Like
never
actual
that bad.
setups through people. Like
Yeah,
I
they're
do
never
feel
like
like they
that
are
bad, that
people who
bad.
know me, but yeah,
Oh, so I usually get like I don't know why we were set up even. And that's like even like my closest friend set me up one time with someone and we're on this Zoom interview, Zoom talk, whatever, because it was Corona still. And for background, by the way, my dates, if you listener at Zen, do choose to date me, they tend to go about 3 hours minimum, although there is a maximum, and I will talk about that later. But they tend to go a decent while. I'll like usually bring some baked goods. It's like cute. I bake a lot also. Wow, I'm just gonna list my whole shit resume while I'm at it. Um, and that's why Zoom dates are not my strong suit. Like bringing baked goods is a huge power play. But I got set up with this from my friend and his like then girlfriend, and this woman and I are talking, and I'm like, "Hey, yeah, I really like this show," and she's like, "Oh, I don't know that show." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Like, what kind of shows do you like?" And she's like, "To be honest with you, I don't really like fiction." And I'm like, "The concept of something not being real in media?" And she's like, yeah, like I much prefer like very real things. And I'm like, so what do you watch? Like, are you like a big reality show person, like sports maybe? No, mainly like sports documentaries. And I'm like, I I didn't follow sports at the time. I don't understand how someone like only watches documentaries, sports documentaries, and then the occasional Disney or Pixar. That's like her whole list. I tried everything in the book because I really enjoy TV. I watch it while I work. So I'm watching it pretty much all day, or I'm listening to Spotify all day, and it just didn't work. So I was like, okay, okay. I read a lot of nonfiction. She doesn't even read. I don't know what the matchmaking thought process was, but it just didn't click. In that moment, I realized like this was done. The only thing we had in common, I think we were both formerly NCSY advisors. And that was like the one thing we had in common. It was a disaster. And that was my second shortest date today. It was only 2 hours, and I am still impressed with myself for keeping that conversation going for 2 hours because I put in work. I went
So,
overtime.
okay, I have a lot of questions. If it was going bad, why didn't you end it after like, especially if it's on Zoom? Like, I'm fine getting off after an hour.
I try to be polite. I try to be like, hey, like this. It's also like in the back of my mind the entire time. Like one of my closest friends, probably my closest friend in the world, set me up with this woman. So he knows me really well. I know he doesn't know this woman as well as he knows me, and it's more his girlfriend at the time knew her really well. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I always want to give a first date a chance. So I usually put in the like effort to try to give it a serious chance because at the end of the day, worst case scenario, usually I like will make a friend, but I've never had like a worst case scenario where they're mad at me until very recently. I actually used to pride myself on that, by the way. I was like so proud of myself. I was like, yeah, I like all of my ending have been very amicable and very nice. And like we some of us even keep in touch still. And I'm just this is a bummer, you know?
So funny. I don't talk to any boys I went out with.
Really?
I don't think. Like,
Interesting.
I don't know. Like, if I go on a date with a guy, I haven't really had it where I'm like, I go on a date with a guy and I'm like, I don't like him, but I want to be friends with him. It's usually just like, this guy's weird. I don't like him. Or it's like, I do like him. I don't know. I feel like the ones that I do like and then it just doesn't work, I don't want to be friends with them.
That's fair. I will
Like,
say I
it's
don't
just,
like talk to them regularly, but I think like if we passed each other in the street, most of them would be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then that would be it. Like
oh,
we've
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
If I
all
see
very
a guy,
amicable, very nice.
like where I live, there are tons of guys that I have gone out with. Well, maybe not tons, but I do see guys around who I've gone on a
Ooh,
date or two with
tons.
or
Oh,
whatever.
baby.
No, not tons, not tons. But like I'll run into guys, I'll say hi. Like I'm not like that. Like I'll say hi, but I don't need to be I don't think I've gone out with anyone where I'm like it didn't work out, but I really want to stay like friends.
Yeah, I've never like stayed friends per se, but more so that like if I needed something and I knew that they could help on it, or if they needed something and they knew I could help, like we would feel comfortable like messaging each other. Like that level where we feel
Oh,
friendly enough to be like, I could reach out potentially.
yeah, I have that with some of the guys. Some of them I'm just like, I don't really care enough to talk to them. I'm like, I
Yeah.
have so many contacts, I could find someone else who could help me instead.
So this woman I never spoke to again. But that's because I didn't know what to speak to her about ever again.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I didn't know what to speak to her that time. So anyway, that transitions from second shortest. We have my shortest date, and
Okay.
truly, just a whirlwind of disaster. This is a woman
Let's
that
hear
I
it.
had a crush on in high school. And it was not really like so intense, but in high school I decided I wasn't going to date. I figured I was going to go to yeshiva, and it would kind of be a problem to date while in yeshiva. So years go by, we kind of lose touch a little. And I went out with another person. They got my hopes really high up. They were like, yeah, they like boosted my confidence while we were breaking up. It was very bizarre. Shout out to them. You're the coolest person I've ever gone out with. And so they like got my confidence up, and I was on a plane. I had been messaging a little bit with this woman, this high school crush, like more recently. I don't know why. I think I responded to like an Instagram story or something because it was like actually something I knew about, and I we just went from there. And I was on a plane, airplane mode on, messages cannot be sent, and I had just finished watching, you guessed it, the Goofy movie, and was I was feeling romantic. For those who haven't watched the Goofy movie, it is not romantic, but it is one heck of a movie. Definitely one of the best Disney movies out there. And that you'll get hate mail for too, by the way. People do not appreciate that opinion. So I
So
messaged
much hate
her.
mail actually, which is just fine. That's good for
Yeah.
me.
If you want, I'll send some hate mail also, just to like add to
Okay.
it, to keep it
You can
interesting,
send
you
me
know,
hate mail just so I can
from
feel
Israel.
special.
Um, so I sent her a message. Fully does not send, obviously, and I'm like, it'll send when I get off the plane. I'm gonna ask her out for the first time ever, and I sent her this message, very like shy and everything. I'm like, hey, um, how are you doing? I don't know if you know this. I think you do because I'm like pretty obvious about this, but like I kind of had a crush on you in high school, and I think it'd be like kind of interesting to see if there's anything still there or anything. I was wondering if you wanted to potentially go out sometime soon. That would be cool, type of thing. Like all very awkward, shy. This was like the first person I had asked out with hopes that it would actually work. The woman I had dated, I had already gotten confirmation beforehand that she was interested. So like this is like a very new field for me. And I messaged her this. To my unbelievable surprise, she says yes. I still to this day am confused why, but you know what? I'll take it. At this point, we hadn't really spoken except for like a few Instagram DMs in like 3 years. But she says yes. She's kind of busy. Takes a little long to respond. First, it was like a day. This is like one message at a time, and she takes like a day, and then it went to like a few days, and then it would be like a week to respond sometimes. And I was sort of playing it back and forth, being like, okay, so she's definitely not interested in going out with me, but she said yes. So I'm really confused. Like, is she doing this for my benefit? Because she doesn't have to do this for my benefit. So I like double checked that she still wanted to go out with me. To be like, hey, like, do you still want to go out? I know you're kind of busy right now. If you are, like, that's okay. And eventually she's like, no, 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 it's good. What about like this day in like 3 weeks? And I was like, okay, cool. So that day's coming closer. We're still like messaging every week or so, every 2 days to a week or so. I'm like playing back and forth with like taking a day to respond to responding immediately because normally I'll like just respond within an hour or something if it's one message at a time, unless I'm in like work mode and then I'm like locked in. But yeah, so I'm playing back and forth. Eventually, it gets closer. Week of like we're supposed to meet on Sunday. My sister actually was in America visiting, and I was in university at the time, and I said, okay, I'll go back with you to the apartment my parents rented in America so that they had a place to go back and forth to see like myself and my other sister. And I'll go back there with you. And then I'll go into New York the next day. And then it's perfect. So Motzei Shabbat, I go with her we were in Fort Lee at the time. I was planning this woman was in Stern at the time. I said, okay, I'll go there. She messages me that night being like, hey, I'm really busy tomorrow. I have like exams to study for. And I'm like, okay, all good. And I sort of just assumed it was over, right? No worries. No skin off my back. It was a huge reach anyway. I'm a little annoyed because I went to Fort Lee from Rutgers for no reason, but no skin off my back at the end of the day. I know I just said that phrase, but I don't know. Anyway, the next morning I wake up. I'm like, okay, I'll drive back to Rutgers now. I figured I might as well spend the night while I'm there anyway. And I get a message being like, "What time did you think about? Were you thinking?" And I'm like, what do you mean? What time was I thinking? You said that there was no time." And she's like, I think I have some time. I was like, I don't know, like 4 or 5. We can go for like some coffee or something. She's like, yeah, I have an hour then. I'm like, okay, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. And she's like, yeah, no, I'd love to meet up and whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. Um, all of these are like soft red flags, but this was a woman that I had a crush on in high school, and I just decided that like I'm gonna look past them just to try it and see what happens. I go on this date, one of the most like just dull dates. We don't know each other still. We don't like know what's going on. And it was a 1 hour date. And then I, for some reason, got it in my head to be like, I'm gonna ask her for a second one because obviously the first one is like a throwaway. Like everyone does badly on the first date, right? Keep in mind at this time I had not been on many dates, and my friend is like, "That's a stupid idea. Do not do that. You don't need this. She clearly doesn't want this." I'm like, "But she said she did." So anyway, I sent her a second date. Like I was like, "Hey, do you want to go out again potentially?" And she's like, "No, I don't think we're the right fit." I'm like, "Okay, cool." But that is to this day my shortest date. In order to get there, I had to look past easily like 7 red flags, just off the bat of like her not being interested. Not that she had the red flags herself, although there are red flags to be spoken about there. But more so just like, yeah, it was not a good idea. And that's why I don't do that anymore. I try not to do like to be that over ambitious.
I think it's not even okay. First of all, you're young. You were young. And it's just like sometimes you look past things until you have the experience that tells you don't look past these things. Like, okay, I haven't said my dating rules in a long time, but one of the rules is if a guy likes you, you'll know. If he doesn't, you'll be confused. I think that's the same with a girl. And if someone likes you, you'll know. And if they don't, you'll be confused, and all the confusion is a no. And like, I don't know, I feel like we've all been in those types of scenarios. It was just interesting that she said yes. Maybe she was just like wanted to give it a chance, but then blowing you off, and it wasn't really like she didn't really want to. Like, I don't know, maybe she felt like she had to say yes, which is just like, why? Like,
Yeah,
you
I
should
don't
never
know why
feel an
either.
obligation to say yes to a date you don't want to go on. It's just wasting everyone else's time and
Genuinely,
energy.
please don't. It's like I'd rather you just say no in the moment. I can easily get over that rather than like rescheduling
Yes.
a date and multiple times like that. I
Yeah,
will
and
say,
like
by the
not
way,
answering for a week.
yeah, that was weird. I think we've discussed this before, but I have to say I disagree on that rule of dating only because while I like, for what it's worth, I think of myself as very deep, like very intense person, in terms of like I feel very strongly, and when I like am in like into someone or potentially in love with someone, I think I feel that very strongly. I'm not the greatest at portraying that per se, because my like I'm attracted to you versus I'm not attracted to you will very often be like hey versus hey, and there's no difference. Like there's no reason to assume one way or another. The point that I've like messed up some things before by not like people have been into me and I kind of knew it, but like I just didn't know what to do because I was like awkward, and I'm not great at portraying that. So yes, that is like a sign of immaturity, and I apologize for that. But hopefully that like once I get over that hump, usually it's pretty good. I just need to get over that hump first.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've had reasons why I can resonate. It's not something that I made up. I didn't make up the rule. I can't take credit. I heard it on a couple other podcasts at some point in my life, and it resonated with me because of a situation that happened to me. So I've talked about the situation before. I could tell it. Maybe we could take a quick break and I'll tell when we get back. But I think just because of that, I think when people are interested, they genuinely like put the effort in. I don't think it's about like, oh my gosh, I'm telling you I like you. I'm showing you I like you. It's like if somebody wants to see you, they're gonna ask to see you. If somebody wants to talk to you, they're gonna try to talk to you. So it's like more about the effort than about like like being like, "Oh, I like you," and this and this and that.
That's very true. I do that
But
with
it does
friends
get
though
confusing.
also. I
Yeah,
like
it does
I'll
get
put in
very
that effort
confusing.
to want to hang out with friends also. One of my friends when she was dating another friend of mine, I would like drop by her like place of work when she was having a bad day and I'd show up with like greeting cards and chocolate because I thought it was super like it was like a good pick me up and she really liked dark chocolate and I thought greeting cards were hilarious. I still think they're pretty funny. Um,
Did she
Especially
think
when
you
you're
liked
like
her?
no, 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 no. That's what I'm saying. Like that could have been very easily portrayed, like misconstrued, whatever,
Yeah.
as like a romantic attraction, but that super wasn't the case. I was like very close with my friend, and I became friends with her because they were dating. And yeah, oh my gosh, do you want to go into? I sort of have a curse in that regard. Do you want to
Wait,
hear?
let's
Yeah,
yeah,
take
but
the
wait,
break.
let's take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors,
I'd
and
love to.
we'll be right back, and then we can talk about it. So, everyone, we will be right back. Shticky Situations is sponsored by Corona Crush. Are you tired of swiping on dating apps? Tired of guessing whether the cute guy or girl you keep seeing around is Jewish and or single? Then you need to run, not walk to join Corona Crush. Corona Crush is a Jewish organization working to create Jewish couples always. Corona Crush has over 30 confirmed engagements, over 22,000 members from all over the world, and has set up over 50,000 speed dates. Join the Corona Crush Facebook group and post yourself or have a friend post you and see who reaches out. Fill out the survey to sign up for virtual speed dating events happening every other week. Corona Crush is 100% free and 100% Jewish. Worst case, you end up with some stories of your own. Best case, you find the love of your life. Try it out today. Here on Shticky Situations, we tend to focus on bad dating stories, but sometimes dates do go well and lead to proposals and weddings. Who would have thought? And what do all of those require, you might be asking? Well, the answer is flowers. Who doesn't want flowers from someone they've been seeing? Don't forget, flower petals and bouquets needed for proposals. And that's even before all the flowers that go into weddings. Sticky Situations is sponsored by Primrose Flower Shop. In my opinion, Primrose is the coolest flower shop around and has the best customer service to fulfill all of your floral needs. Primrose offers a range of services from your basic bouquets to subscription services where you can get flowers delivered once a week. They deliver all over the tri state area, including Manhattan. Primrose does weddings, bar and bat mitzvahs, and other simchas. I've personally been to a wedding where Primrose did the flowers, and the work they did was beyond gorgeous. Primrose additionally offers in store proposals, including a romantic setup with candles and music. Primrose is located at 2922 Avenue M in Brooklyn, and the phone number is 929-376-9815. You can also follow Primrose on Instagram at PrimroseNY. So, if you can't get someone out of your head, buy them some flowers from Primrose. They'll either love it or they'll find you really creepy. But regardless, the flowers will be out of this world. Okay, we're back, everybody. Okay, so do you wanna go into what you started to say before the break?
Yeah, I so that was a little teaser for this coming up. I sort of have this super fun curse that started as a joke when one of my closest friends was dating this woman, and then I like got really close with her also because one of my closest friends is dating her, and they broke up. And then it happened again with his next girlfriend. And then it happened again with another close friend of mine and her and his girlfriend. And it really, at the time, I made a joke. I was like, haha, this is such a funny curse. And one of my friends was like, haha, that's funny, but you should still be friends with my girlfriend. Don't be weird about that because it's not going to happen to us. We've been dating for 2 years. And then it happened with them too. So now he's fully converted to be a believer in this curse. It has so far happened no less than 11 times, right?
What?
That's what I'm saying. It
I'm not
shouldn't be
letting
this
you around
consistent.
any of my relationships.
That's what a lot of my friends are saying now, but I like being friends with my friends' significant others.
Yeah.
Usually, the indication that like this is something like I was somehow somewhat involved in it, not actually involved, obviously. It's all correlation, not causation. But a good indication is like they'll message me afterward to be like, "Hey, do you want to hang out?" Or like, "Hey, how are you?"
Well, interesting.
Um, including like one of someone I was like really close with, her ex-fiance messaged me, and I was like, we did not get that close. I didn't think we were kind of only friends because we were like living close to each other, and like I was close with her, so I was like, okay, I'll be friends with your fiance. And then he like messaged me the next week, being like, "Hey, how do you feel about football?" And I was like, I don't know. And if you're listening, by the way, I know that that had nothing to do with me. It's just weird that it's a pattern.
Yeah, that is so weird.
Yeah. it shouldn't be this consistent. So it ranges. It's gone from the shortest one was 6 month relationship, and the longest one was 2.5 years. And also the like time of friendship it changes, which is why I don't think it's actually me in any way, because
No,
like
I don't
there
think
was
it's
one that was,
you.
yeah, there was one that was a year,
Unless all these
and
people are in love with you.
no, someone once said, the friend that didn't believe it at first used to joke that it was because they saw me and they were like, wow, this is what a guy could be. But I'm not that guy.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not like the heartthrob guy.
but I feel
The
like you treat girls well. Like you treat
I
people well.
try
You treat
to.
your friends well.
Yeah,
You're
I grew up with
thoughtful.
three older sisters. It's kind of hard for me to like not treat women well. I think they'd literally beat me up also. Um,
But also, like, you have to understand in the world that we're living in, being treated well by a man is the bare minimum.
that's really
But,
disappointing.
like, it's still hard to get. Like, it's
I
still
know.
so hard to
Like
get.
that's so disappointing that that's something that you like have to look for. And I that's hard to hear, but I know it's true. It's just sad to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible. But yeah, the 1 year ended like I messaged her like, "Oh, we're gonna go out and hang out. We'll like go to Target next week." We didn't go to Target ever because they broke up, and then I was like awkward about it. I didn't want to go out with her to Target. Some of them I did stay friends with because I actually was friends with them. Like it became friends separately from the relationship. But
Mhm.
for the most part, it becomes a lot harder to remain friends with someone that your like closest friend at the time had dated.
Yeah. I don't know. I think with my friends, I don't really make an effort with their significant. Well, first of all, I don't really meet my friends' significant others until they're like really serious or whatever. And then I think I make more of an effort when they're like closer to engagement, married, like, but also I wouldn't say that I'm like best friend. Like I'm not, I am friends with my friends' husbands, but not really to the point where I would like talk to them without my friend there. Like, I don't know, sometimes like a couple of them will like text me things, but it's stuff that's like relates to me. Like it's nothing inappropriate. Like I don't know, like one of my friends' husbands will send me Taylor Swift stuff because like, but I went to the concert with his wife. Like I go over there and the three of us talk
Yeah,
about Taylor Swift. Like it's not like that. Like we're not like close friends, just the two of us, but I'm good friends with his wife. So like when I go and hang out, like I'll hang out with both of them. Like I'm fine third wheeling them. So, but it's like a different thing. And like, I don't know, it was like that when they were dating, but if they had broken up instead of gotten married, which I'm glad they did not because they're very happy together and I like them as a couple,
that's
they
great.
like I would have nothing to do with him. Like she's my friend. Like I'm a Scorpio. I'm very big on loyalties. Like
I am
I'm
too.
not I'm not trying to be friends with like people my friends broke up with, but I don't know. And then like I have a guy friend who married a girl and integrated her into our friend group and like I she's great. I'm probably better friends with her than I'm with him now. But like and like he was my friend first. But I don't know. I think it's just like different types of relationships that I have with my friends, significant others. I also do think most of my closer friends are girls. So I wouldn't like try to be like best friends with their husbands. The only people like it of my closer guy friends, like I would want to be like good friends with their wives because I think that's just like a natural thing. But
Yeah,
I don't know where I'm
I will
going with
say
this, but
once they're married, I they're usually safe. Although I've never actually tried to be very close friends with if like my friends' husbands or wives, but
yeah.
it's usually safe. I used to think though that engagement was also safe until that happened, but for the most part, like wedding seems to be like you're safe from the curse. It's just until then is the problem. No, the big issue though with me becoming their friends though, I sort of have like I call it lonely kid syndrome. Like if you were a kid that was kind of lonely in like I was pretty socially awkward, so I didn't really have a lot of friends per se. I had like one or two at a time, and I thought that was like good enough. Disney Channel really taught me that I only need one or two friends ever, and then they just have to get into wacky hijinks with me. Um, but I see other people in like a new setting and a new friend group situation. I always try to reach out specifically to those people more than I would just like hanging out with my friend at the side. When a friend introduces their like partner, I will go over to that partner and be like, "Hey, like, how are you doing? Like, I'd love to like get to know you more." Because then it feels a little better. You feel like a little less alone and a little less awkward in the
Yeah.
situation. That being said, I am
But
like not I'm like a huge guy to just walk over and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And it always like kind of throws them off at first. Because I'm like 6'3" and I'm an offensive lineman in football. I play in the Israeli not flag league, the Israeli tackle football league. Um, I am not the guy you would expect just from like looking at me with like neutral face to walk over and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" Also, like this voice is like higher for podcasts. My natural talking voice is down here. So it's a very different thing to be talking from here and be like, "Hey, how's it going? Lovely to meet you. I'm Netanel. Nice to meet you." And yeah, I usually try to put on the YouTuber voice though for them. It makes it a little like easier.
yeah, so I mean, me coming up, people say that I'm just like very friendly looking. I'm very short. I'm not from the New York area, which people think means people are nicer, which is sometimes the case. So I don't know. They say I'm just friendly and like welcoming. So
I would say welcoming. Midwesterners tend to be more welcoming, I think. Like
yeah.
as half Midwestern on my mom's side, um, as someone who's like raised by a Midwesterner, like I understand a lot more. Like you treat a lot more people more, like nicer, and you like see new people, and you're like excited to meet them and stuff, as opposed to the tri-state area. It's just cold. It's
Yeah.
they're just not you. There's such an in-group, out-group bias. It's weird.
Yeah. Not everyone though. Like I do have some very
No,
good friends from the tri-state area who are very nice and welcoming and like welcomed me and everything. But
there's
yeah,
just more. I'd say there are more cliques than like there are more like friend groups as opposed to just people being friends. And personally, I blame Friends, the show, because they really set that standard. Like, have you seen them get become friends with a lot of other people? Not really. They
no,
really just hang out with each other.
yeah. Have a I mean, I have crews, so it's like I can't talk. I'm a very like crew. But my thing is, whatever. I make a friend. I like that friend. I make another friend. I like that friend. So when I'm inviting people, I'm just inviting all the people I made friends with.
Yeah, especially for me, it's like especially new friends that I've made.
Yeah, I just like invite them and then they become friends with my friends. And like I've had other people do that too. And like some of my good friends now, like I don't know, one of my friends met and they invited them somewhere and it's like, okay, now we're all friends. And it's just weird how small this world is and how like people are just friends with random people you know and like they're like, okay, how did we not know each other until now because you're literally friends with all my friends
It
and
happens
in this
all the
small
time.
tiny like Orthodox Jewish world.
You also like so going to Israel is really cool and very bizarre and socially for that reason. There are a lot you're not getting the entire tri-state community. Like I know okay. So let's go into the longest date I've been on.
Okay.
Okay. Um, for those who don't know me, I hate driving. I feel like every time I have to preface it with some fun fact about me. I hate driving in cities. I love driving. I like driving in like big open highways or like roads that are generally like if I could drive down Route 66 and listen to Chuck Berry sing Route 66, shout out Chuck Berry, because he's obviously listening. Um, if if I could just drive down Route 66, like that's a great time as long as there's not too much traffic, because it's like a one lane highway. I think they actually expanded it. I just know it as like the historic Route 66. I've never actually driven down it, but I think they made a bigger interstate highway. Anyway, I don't drive in the city. I really try to avoid it. When I went on this date, I was set up with this woman, and I knew her sort of from beforehand. We had done NCSY together. Super lovely woman. Also, I've only dated the like just loveliest women that are out there. But we went out. I brought what did I make actually? I think I made banana muffins, banana oat muffins with a divot of like peanut butter inside, and I
Ooh.
think I topped them off with like a brown sugar like crust type of thing, like melted creme brulee style. I don't remember if that's exactly. No, I don't remember exactly. Anyway, I made some kind of muffins with peanut butter inside. I made like a whole filling. It was fun. And we went to a park that I really like to go to. Like Englewood Cliffs, I think it's called. I don't actually know the name. I just go there every so often. And there's like nice picnic things, and it's a really nice park, and it overlooks like the New York City skyline. Lovely time. And so we meet up about 6 p.m. We go to the park, and we're doing that. It comes around to 11 p.m. We're still like walking around the park. I'd put the muffins back in my car at that point. She had taken a bus in to New Jersey from the Heights, and yeah, it gets to like midnight, and I've at this point I've been multiple times like motioning to go back to the car, not because it's a bad date, not because it was bad conversation, but I was so tired. I just wanted to go to bed so badly, and I didn't know how to end it normally without being like without it sounding rude, because I was genuinely enjoying talking to her and everything. I was just really tired. So eventually I said like, "Hey, do you want to like head back to the car?" And she's like, "Yeah, we could sit in there. It's getting cold, so it's better to talk in there." I'm like, just talk in there. I meant like to like go back. And then eventually, I started doing a really bad idea. Don't ever do this on a date, especially not a first date. But it felt like we'd been there long enough that I started just being like, so like, what are some red flags? And this is a really good way. I think it's a really good litmus test. If it works, huge, huge win if it works. So like one of my red flags is that I really enjoy Pokemon. I play competitively. I
Why is
was
that a red
formerly
flag?
because people find it like kind of too nerdy and like too childish and stuff. I'm like a big math guy, so I really like calculating it. Like I play for the competitive stuff, and it's like a fun challenge. I formerly was in certain categories top 10 in the world, and other categories like top 25. I think I'm still top 500 in some categories, like different styles of battles and stuff. But that's like a red flag I threw out there. And I'd gone through like five red flags, increasing in like how they might be like worse and worse. I hit her with like a really random political take at one point, which I can say, but you'll probably want to cut it out if you'd like.
It's
Do
okay.
you
We just
want?
won't say it.
Okay. Um, and I just like went through a few of them, and they all just she like responded very positively to every single one. And I think it's partially because like I explain myself very well whenever I mention it, but it's very bizarre to be like, here are red flags. Please stop this date now so that you can like go home and think about these red flags. Please, I'm begging you. Um,
Why didn't you stop the date? Why didn't you just be like, oh, let me like take you home now?
because then I had to take her home and I had to drive into the city. And if
Yeah,
she
but like,
said that
weren't you
she
gonna do
wanted to
that
go home,
anyways?
I didn't know we were going that late. I was going to drive her back to the jitney, and then she would take a
Yeah, but you
bus
can't
back.
send her on the jitney at midnight. I would have
That's
sent
the
anyone on the
problem.
jitney past like 9 p.m.
Yeah, that was the problem. I thought we were going to end maybe 10 p.m. 10 p.m. I've taken the jitney at like 12:30 a.m. before. I know I'm a man.
Okay, but
Okay, I
you're a
know it's
boy.
different. Yeah,
You're a
okay.
male.
Yeah, you're right. I'm a boy. But called myself a man, got out of line. That's on me.
No, 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 I'm saying you're whatever. You're male.
No, I get it. I'm also like I
Different.
tend to like walk around these situations very confident because I am a large male. But I was like 10 p.m. She even said like I like it's fine. I'll take a Ginny back afterward. And I was like, okay, cool. But then it was like 12:30 a.m. and I was like, there's nothing I can't like I have to drive her into the city. I've never driven into the city though. I very intentionally haven't because I am like terrified of driving in New York City. It's not fun, and it takes like an hour to go three. No, it's not actually an hour. It takes multiple minutes to go 3 blocks.
That hour,
Yeah, yeah. I exaggerate and then I like pull
especially
myself
into
back.
the
Okay.
heights.
I there were multiple streets closed off because the street was just torn up. Like there was a huge hole in the middle of the street, and so there was intersections just closed. I actually still don't know what that was about. That was very bizarre. But luckily, I drove her back. It was all good. We went on another date afterward because very lovely. It didn't really work out after that. I committed another faux pas that I don't do on dates. I try not to go bowling on dates because there's not much conversation to be had. And
Yeah, I don't
I
like bowling. on a date.
I love bowling. That's
Unless it's
the
a double
problem.
date. I think if it's a double date, it's fun because then it's like two couples, there's competition, there's time to talk, but not on a date because like someone's always bowling. It's like
Yeah.
it's not if it's like a later date, like I don't
No, because
know,
then like
further
either you're waiting
in,
for each
but not
other or you're
yeah.
you're bowling.
Yeah, it's not a good beginning stage date.
Yeah, so I happen to be someone who really likes playing games, not like playing games, like competitive board games and stuff like that. So we had mentioned also like playing set. For those who know set, it's very fun. The issue is my family is very competitive. So I grew up with like very competitive mindset, and from a young age I was like trying to keep up with people that were way better than me at these games. My grandmother is a like formerly used to like compete in tournaments in bowling. So I get up there and I do like the whole form and everything, and people always give me a weird look. So for now, it's a rule I don't go bowling on dates. But we went bowling and then we played set afterward. And props to her, by the way, she did take a game off me in bowling. Huge props to her. It is not a common thing to do. I have gotten better since then, don't worry. Now my average is like at 120 or so, maybe a little higher. But yeah, I actually recently almost got on the wall of a bowling place, bowl arena, bowl area, a bowl. I almost got on the wall of a bowl, and I was like really excited. I was like 9 points away. The lowest score I saw on the wall was 195, and I had a 186. I was so excited. But in this state, I was just like I was playing games, so I was like focused on the game too much, and then I'm not thinking about talking as much. It just doesn't work. It's not a good move for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not a game person in general, so I
I
just
thought I was a
I
game
don't like
person, and then I met board game nerds, and board
yeah,
game
no,
nerds
I'm not
are
into it.
amazing. But I don't want to have to learn every game out there.
No, I'm not into it at all. I'd rather sit and gossip.
Yeah, I
I'm a
like sitting and
schmoozer. Like
chilling.
I'm a
Yeah,
schmoozer, so I like sitting and schmoozing or like on Shabbos, like I'd rather either schmooze or read my book. Like I don't want
I
to play a game.
I like games. I like schmoozing. I don't think I'd usually at night, like Friday night after I'm like when I'm like ready to go to bed or close to, that's when I'll read the book. But otherwise I'm not really reading much. But I like playing games. I like schmoozing. But when I play games, it tends to be like the same handful of games. Like you're playing code names every week. I've been playing code names the last 2 weeks way too much. And like Settlers of Catan, things like that, like the classics. And then one of my friends brought Scythe recently, and he's like, "This is your card that tells you the actions you can take, and each of those actions comes with like smaller actions that you could take within that." And I'm just staring at him, like, "What are you saying to me right now? Why are you speaking these words out loud? Please stop." It was not a good time. Good game. Highly like for those who like board games, I'm sure you'd enjoy it. For those who like casually like board games, stay away. It is way too complicated.
And then there's me. I don't like games
Yeah,
at all.
but like the
Yeah, like
best,
that's when I leave. When everyone's like, "Oh, should we play a game?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna go home and take a nap."
no, the best games are the ones where you schmooze while playing the game. There's a game called Bonanza. I don't know if I know it exists in the Airport side. I know like some of my friends have it there, but I don't know if you've seen it before. The whole game is trading beans. It's so silly and so funny. You can trade for anything you want. This is not paid, but if Bonanza does want to sponsor me to promote their game, I will happily do so.
My move, if everyone's playing games, I'll be like, "Oh, I'll be on someone's team," and then I switch teams based off who's winning. And I
Yeah,
don't
of
help.
course.
I don't contribute to anything. I'm like, "Oh, you're not winning. I'm gonna go on that team. They're winning." Like I'm be like, "I'm on so and so's team. I'm not actually playing." And then they'll like ask me questions to like make me participate. I'm like, when I said I'm on your team, that means I'm sitting here and being annoying. Like, this is a I don't know. I feel like when I lived in my old neighborhood, people played games a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think there was just less to do on Shabbos. There were less people. But like where I am now, first of all, I haven't really been any place where they start playing games. But also there's stuff to do. It's like, okay, let's go to the park or I'm gonna go home and take a nap. or there are other people to like schmooze with. So yeah, I haven't
That's
run into
fair.
that issue so far.
I know a lot of
But
people though. If you, I obviously not for you, but if someone did want to know, like, there are a lot of people on that board side that play a lot of games. Also, if you like, at the end of the day, I still will try a lot of games. I just won't necessarily stick with them a lot. Except for Bonanza. Shout out Bonanza again. Please sponsor me.
the only time I will do it is if it's for a boy. That's
Interesting.
that's my motivation for a lot of things that I don't normally do.
That's super
Not as
fair.
much anymore. It has to be, yeah,
I'd
for a
say it's
boy.
good motivation to have. I sometimes it's not even really about the like person that I like that I'm thinking about. It's more about the like I need a motivation to latch onto, and it's good to place like someone on that motivation. I used to do that for like I used to competitively powerlift. Now I just do it casually. So when I was doing it competitively, I would like have someone in mind that I was like lifting so that they would think I'm cool. But I never actually was planning on like going out with them or anything or like trying to like appear cool for them or anything. I just it was really good. It was a really good way to motivate myself to be like, that person will think I'm cool if I could lift 20 more pounds.
So for me, it's not like that. Like everything I do because I want to mostly, or for other reasons, but they're like for me. But it's more like if everyone's playing a game or if someone invites me somewhere or something like that that I wouldn't normally say yes to, but someone I'm interested is going to be there. If
Always
someone
check the guest
is
list.
like, okay, I'll give you an example. I'm in this group chat and they like doing stuff, and I'm just not about doing stuff. It really depends. Sometimes I'm down to do stuff, sometimes I'm not. You have to catch me in the right mood. So, like, I don't know. My friend will text me. She's like, "You want to come out and do this with it?" Like on a Saturday night. And mind you, like we're in summertime now. Shabbos ends late. So
Yeah.
like last night, like a bunch of them were going to like a ping pong bar or something. And she's like, "You want to come to ping pong at 10:30?" And I'm like, "Girl, no. I want to be in my bed." Like also it happens to be like yesterday
Ping
was
pong
Shabbos. We're
bar.
recording on a Sunday, and like Shabbos is normally when I sleep in, but they started doing construction outside my window at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I went to bed at like 2 a.m. I didn't
Oh
sleep all
my.
week. And then I got woken up at 8 and I didn't nap. And I'm like, I'm not going out at 10:30 p.m. But if
That's
somebody who
crazy. I went to bed last night at 2 a.m.
if I knew that certain people would be there, I would go. Like that's my motivation for things. It's like you invite me to go somewhere, most likely I don't want to go. Well, it depends what it is. Meaning like if it's something I wouldn't normally want to do, I probably won't go, which is a bad trait. Like I'm not like it makes me like a bad friend. Like, "Oh no, I don't want to come hang out with you, but if there's a boy there that I like, I'll come."
No, there's different
But
levels. Like if
I
it's a
do
close
hang out with
friend,
my friends.
yeah, if it's a close friend,
The
you see
only
them more often.
the only way you're getting me out of the house at that hour is if there's a boy there that I like.
I think I'd still go, but I will say a th huge thing. I think we need to normalize sharing the guest list because
Yeah.
too often I've been like, "Hey, who's going to be there?" And people will ask me like, "Why do you need to know that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just
Yeah,
want to
it's
know who's
also,
coming."
but also, I don't
I,
want to feel rude to be like, "Oh, who's coming?" and then decide based off that. But this friend happens to know at this moment any specific individuals who I would want to see. So I feel like she would be a good enough friend to tell me, like, we're going here, so and so's coming. So, but if she doesn't, that I feel like, okay, that's breaking girl code. If you don't tell me, or it's breaking friend code, because some of my guy friends might know too. It's breaking friend code if you invite a friend somewhere knowing they probably won't want to come, but they would want to come if someone's coming, and you don't tell them that they're coming.
Interesting.
Like that's breaking friend code, I think.
Yeah, I hear that.
Like if it was me organizing and I knew my friend was interested in someone and I invited that person, that's the first thing I would be like. I'd be like, "Do you want to go here? So and so is coming. You need to come."
Yeah, when Pony Money shows up, you got to show up, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, sometimes someone I'm interested is motivation enough to do something that I would normally
Yeah.
not want to do. If that makes me, whatever that makes me, like, I do like hanging out with my friends. I don't only go places where I know that someone I'm interested is going to be. Like, that's
No, of
not
course.
my motivation for everything. But if it's something that I don't want to do, like, I'm
Also,
not going to go if I don't want to go unless there's going to be someone there that I want to see.
if it's friends you see regularly enough or like at all more often, then I think it's okay to be like, hey, I like this activity, I'll ditch unless there's like a specific reason for me to go.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So that's how I feel about board games too. Like, I would hate playing board games except in my old neighborhood, there was like this guy, whatever. And we like did shows together a lot. And if he was, I wouldn't leave because they were playing board games. Like now, if I'm at a meal and they're like, "Oh, you guys want to stay and play board games?" I'd be like, "I'm going home." But when I was at his apartment, he's like, "Should we play games?" And I'm like, "I don't want to play games, but I wanted to be around him." So I would say. And
Did you do the
then
teammate thing or did you play the game?
depended on the game. Some games I played, some I did the teammate thing, some I just sat next to him. I'm
Whatever works, you
annoying.
know? No, if it
I'm
works,
annoying.
works.
I can't, but like that's my personality. But whatever. It ended badly with him. So
Oh, so then it didn't work out. But it
yeah,
worked to get there. Like you had to get somewhere
it's
to
a
end
it's a
badly.
good life lesson. No, it went nowhere. No, it
Oh,
was just I guess I've like talked about the story a bunch of times. It's not I won't even go into the details of the story. I met this guy and I met him like at a Shabbat meal. This was years and years and years ago at this point. Like we are so over this. Like that's my preface. The only reason it's like sometimes on my mind is because I remember the life lessons that it taught me and like feelings that I don't want to feel again. But it's it was a good life lesson for me. But okay, so this was I think I was your age. I was 25 and all this happened. And
such
yeah,
a
I met
baby.
this
Gosh,
guy. I met this guy. Some reason he like sat next to me at the Shabbos meal, which I don't know why, because okay, so my former roommate and I at the time had a habit of drinking a lot and we would pregame a lot. Like we literally would if we would pregame like meals, we pregame shul. No, we didn't pregame shul that often, but we pregame meals a lot or like other things. So this was in the summer. Shabbos started late. I got home from work and I was like, should we drink before Shabbos? So we drank before dinner. We showed up a little bit tipsy. We were being crazy outside. And none of us wanted to knock on the door. Like, we're standing at the door to get into someone's building. Like, it's just us two and this random dude. So we didn't want to, like, finally we get into the building and we're like, I don't want to, like, each of us is like, we don't want to knock. So then I'm finally like, let's make him knock. Like, he's obviously coming to the same meal as us. So he's like, fine, I'll knock. And weird, he was just standing outside with us for a good, like, 5 to 10 minutes with us being crazy. And I'm like, we're just like drunk and crazy. I wasn't that drunk. We were just like a little tipsy. She was more so than I was. But and then for some reason he decided to sit next to me at that meal. And I'm like, why? But anyway, at that point I sobered up. I wasn't even that drunk anyways. We just got crazy together. And
yeah,
yeah, we like fed off of each other. It was like our my friendship with my
that's a
roommate.
classic.
Yeah, so whatever. So I'm sitting next to this guy, we start talking. We actually have like a lot of things in common. And you know when you meet someone and you just feel like you just feel this like sense of comfort and familiarity even though you just met?
Yeah,
That's what I had with him. And I'm just like, wow. Like, wow. So fine. So after Shabbos, we connect. And I'm like, okay, I want to invite him. Like, I really like him as a person. Like, I want to be friends with him. Like, he had just moved. That he was new to the neighborhood. I was like, okay. So I invited him for Shavuos. I think Shavuos was like the next week. So I invited him for a meal for Shavuos. And then it was like the first night of Shavuos. So after dinner, all of us were like walking around to whatever shuls we were going as a group around, and he like came with us. And I don't know, at some point he would just like we would break off into our own, like we were with the group, but it was also just us two. Like we would be having our own conversation while the group, even from the beginning, like it was just the two of us talking, even though we were with the group. And at some point in the night, like because we were up for most of the night, Shivewas, walking around to different shuls, different learnings, like
Yeah.
whatever. So one of my friends came up to me. She's like, "Yo, Rachel, what's going on with you and this guy?" And I was like, "I don't know. I like him as a person." She's like, "Are you interested?" And I'm like, "I guess." Which I kind of hate her for that because she put the idea in my head. And then after that, I just
Yeah.
overanalyzed. After that, I just overanalyzed every interaction we had. And we hung out a lot. Like we hung out the whole summer. Like we he would like come over and watch The Bachelor. He and his roommate would come over and watch The Bachelor with me and my roommates. And sometimes we made them host it because we didn't have a TV in our apartment and they did. So like we would go over there, we would make them watch The Bachelor with us, and like they did. But
How
like
were
he
you
would
watching it
always
in
sit,
your apartment though, if you didn't have a TV?
we watched it on like a laptop or an iPad, and they would
You all
still
like
come
crowded
over.
around. That's so
Yes.
funny.
And they would still come over to watch with us. But
That's
like
commitment.
every time, like he would always sit next to me and we would always have our own conversation on the side. He'd like be telling me about other stuff. We texted, like we hung out a lot. We did Shabbos meals together. I would say if not every week, it was every other week. Like they hosted us, we hosted them, like we hung out a lot and we saw them during the week. So it was a lot. And there were other like things that like he just like remembered things and was like really thoughtful. Like I had some like family stuff going on that summer, so I had to go home for a couple weeks.
Hmm.
And like I remember I and this was like towards the beginning of when we started being friends. And I remember I told him and he texted me like the day I got back. And he's like, "Hey, how are you? How was your trip?" Like everything. Like he messaged me the day I got back. And I was like, "Why do you remember the exact day I got back? Like I've been gone for 2 weeks." So just like things like that. Or one time I was going home again, like later in the summer, and we were talking, and I needed help getting to the specific airport I was flying out of because it wasn't one that I normally fly out of, and he had just been there. So I asked him, I'm like, how do I get to this airport? Because like I've never gone before. So he like told me, and then like we're texting while I'm like on my way to the airport, and I was like, ugh, I'm in for a long night, like my flight's delayed, whatever. And then he's like sending me facts about my airline or about my flight. It's like he's like, yeah, it's stuck in like this in this city and whatever. I'm like, are you tracking my flight? Like,
That's a little pushing it. That's weird already.
okay, but we were good friends, and also I really liked him, so I was like, oh my
No,
god,
that's
he's
so fair.
tracking my
Like, I
flight.
understand how you wouldn't see it, but like, I don't know. If I ever track your flight, like, call the police on me. I don't know.
Like he
Unless
tracked
I'm
my
picking you up
flight.
from the airport, like, that's too much.
No, he was tracking my flight, and my dad was tracking my flight. I wasn't even tracking, and I was
That's
with my
so
family
funny.
friend in the airport because we were going home for something. And so, like, me and my family friend kept kind of looking it up, and I'm like, telling him about this guy in the airport, and then I'm like, wait, he is literally tracking my flight. And I'm like, what is that? Like, you don't track flights for girls you don't like. Like,
You don't
friends or
track
no
flights.
friends.
Unless you're picking them
I
up, don't track flights.
I don't track my own flights, but like I would never track a friend's flight. I would never track anyone's flight probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like, "What are you doing?" So finally at the end of the summer, like summer was coming to an end, and I was like, "I can't take this anymore because it's too many like mixed signals. I don't know what's happening." So I had a whole plan of talking to him, and we had a conversation where I basically was just like, what like I was like, this has been like a really like great summer. Like I like hanging out with you. Do you think you ever see us being more than friends? And he's like, honestly, no. And I was like, okay, cool. See you never. Also he had helped me book a flight to Europe because I was going to London that summer. So
Wow.
I strategically oh, there was also a night where things escalated between us. Nothing like actually happened like right before this, and I'm like, okay, I need to have this conversation. And the timing was good because I'm like, I'll have the conversation. Then I flee the country. Then it's like all the Hagim, so it's like we're not gonna really see each other for another month anyways. So I don't know. We just had a night and I drank way too much and he was just like taking care of me the whole night and I like we like it was fun. We like went out with all of our friends. I made him dance with me. Like it was like a whole thing. And then after that, my other friends who didn't know were like, yo, Rachel, what is going on between the two of you? So then I was like, okay, we need to like resolve this right now. This is either a thing or it's not a thing. And turns out it wasn't a thing. And then I fled the country and I don't know. I was lucky in the fact that so this was like September 2019 and by the time we got back it was like October, November. We hung out a couple times after that, but then like I started my busy season in January. COVID
Yeah.
started in March and I never saw him ever again, and that's fine. And he's married now and it's fine.
Good for him.
Yeah,
It's
no,
better to
no,
have that
like
out on the table also. Like I've unfortunately been through that. I've gotten better at doing that whole like cards on the table thing. Um,
yeah.
but generally way better to get it out there. It sucks. It's really annoying to do. And being someone who's like not great at communicating those kinds of things usually, pre-hump, I'm really okay at communication post-hump. Just pre-dating hump, it's a lot more awkward. But yeah, it's so much better.
Yeah.
It's so much better.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like now I'm just cautious about like interpreting things and it's like he did so many things that were like why are you doing this if you don't like me, but
Yeah.
it's also like it's whatever, it is what it is. It's my life lesson and like I'm proud of myself for having that conversation. Like that's probably one of the most like that was probably one of the bravest like things that I did in my life.
Yeah, huge props to
um
you.
but it also like it taught me lessons about like I don't know, not being so delusional, like also
I
I
don't know
don't
if it's
know, but
delusion. You
I
sometimes
I
it's
put
like
it.
taking a chance more than it is delusion.
Yeah. No, but a lot of it was on him too. Like he gave me
Yeah.
very bad mixed signals and like anybody in my position would have also like thought. Like there were other things. I'm not over analyzing my summer of 5 years ago because first of all I don't
Hmm.
remember all the details, but I don't know. So that's why I say if someone likes you, you'll know. If they don't, you'll be confused.
But I don't know. I think I was confused. I think I've been confused before, and I found out afterward that they were interested. Like I've had those situations also, and I've been the other side of that. Like people didn't know I was interested. Like a woman I had a
Yeah.
crush on for 3 years in high school, no, 2.5 years in high school, had no idea apparently. And I just wasn't
Oh
trying to
well.
do anything because whatever. Because like I didn't want to date in high school because I was like, it's useless.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I have a more recent situation where I'm like confused and like whatever. I'm just like letting it play out because there's no point in like working myself up into this like delusion of oh my God. But there's also I don't want to like close the door on it because like if it is real, then it's like wow, a cool that's cool. That's good.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
exactly. It's worth taking that chance.
Yeah. I don't know. In general, everyone just feel it out. But it
Yeah,
is good to have open, honest conversations if you get to the point
always
instead of
better
just
than
being
not
like,
having those conversations.
yeah, this was like giving me really bad anxiety for a long time. So it was good that I just like had the conversation. I'm like, either way, I need to know because it's like eating me up. But
Yeah, I have unfortunately been there so many
yeah.
times. I've been there like 5 times now, I think, maybe six.
Oh, wow.
Like, because as mentioned, I like will sometimes just get really close with people, and then like halfway into it, I'll have friends telling me, being like, "Hey, are you dating that person?" Like you mentioned earlier, and it'll get in my head, and then I'm like, I need to clarify the situation. And like early on, I started like with the first like 2 to 3 people, I just kind of assumed that because people were telling me that asking if we were at going out, then clearly there's something that I'm not seeing. But like later on, I started to realize and I just started clarifying as opposed to just trying to assume that they were interested. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard. And like I thought I was just like, okay, I'm older, I'm wiser, I know what to do now. And I like went on for years like that. And now it's just like, okay, I'm not wiser, I guess. I'm like I am wiser, but like not really. Like it's still like fun having a crush and it's fun.
Yeah. You're never as wise as you think you are, I'd say, but you're like definitely wiser than you give yourself credit for sometimes. You know, if you
Yeah.
think you're wise, then you're not that wise, but you're definitely wiser than you've been.
Yeah. Also, like, I think I have wisdom from my own experiences and some of my friends' experiences, some of my podcast guest experiences. I I try to be well informed, but that doesn't mean we're not all like doesn't mean we don't have feelings and we don't get crushes and we don't overanalyze things. And honestly, sometimes it's fun to like sit there and overanalyze things.
Yeah, for sure.
So I
I
don't
mean,
know.
that's
Who would
why
have
this
thought?
podcast exists. I mean, shout out to this podcast again. Make sure to like and subscribe to
Oh,
Shticky
thank
Situations,
you.
no matter where you
Thank
are.
you. Thank you.
I'm telling
But
you,
yeah,
I
so
that's my religion. Plugging is my religion.
I love it.
I'll
Um,
sometimes watch reality shows and someone will be like the most recent season of The Circle, for those who don't know, I think it's season 6 or 7, whatever. Um, there's there were two characters that were online personalities, and one was a catfish, one wasn't. And I was like, why are neither of them plugging their own content on this
so
TV
funny.
show? One of them was a former Twitch streamer, so I was like, okay, maybe she's not. But the other one was catfishing as her brother, who's a current TikTok personality that I even knew about separate from this. So I was like, she should have mentioned, like, oh, I'm famous on TikTok, or hey, like, make sure to check out my new song, like something of the sort. I don't know. I was like, this isn't real if you're not plugging. You're not a real content creator. You can't be. You got to be plugging.
Yeah. So then I guess let's move on to the wrap up segment.
Wrap, wrap,
Okay.
wrap, wrap up.
Nathaniel, can you give me and my listeners one piece of dating advice?
To the social security numbers, the SSN. Um, one piece of dating advice I think is really important is try to switch it up. Like if you have a go-to first date place, you start to compare them a lot more to that place and you start to like think about other people you've dated there. Get out of your own head, get out of that place, switch it up as much as you can, whenever you can. I think also other people tend to appreciate like something a little different. A big fan, like if you're in New York, Chelsea Market is a great place to walk around, see stuff. There's like coffee shops around the area. You go to the pier, there's great stuff in Chelsea. And that's like a good place to like switch it up. Just try to keep it a fresh and original because then you're giving that first date a real chance. And you want to give it a real chance. You don't want to go into it thinking about the other first dates you've been on.
It's a good piece of advice.
Yeah. Also, no matter what I said, shout out to any woman I've dated. I think you're all amazing. Shout out to all of you.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, what is your Real Housewife tagline?
My Real Housewife tagline is I'm trying my best. In fact, I even have a sweater with it. That's just the like general life motto. I want to get up there fully like hand on hip. I'm gonna do it for you, the listeners. I'm so sorry you can't see this, but I want to get up there and be like, "Hey, I'm Netanel, 25, and I'm trying my best. Thank you very much." I didn't want to drop the mic all the way on the
Mic
floor.
drop.
Yeah, it didn't really work.
Okay, well, Estelle, thank you so much for coming on. This has been so much fun.
Thank you for having me.
Of
Truly an
course.
honor.
Of course. Thank you
I
again.
hope to get on the circle from this, to have sponsorships from this. You know, like so much will come from this
So
because
much writing
everyone's
on
going to
this. That's a
sponsor
lot of
me.
pressure.
Well, I
So
shouted
much
out
pressure.
everyone. Shout out to Chuck Berry again, Route 66. You know, just all the shout outs that I could possibly give. If your first
Okay.
name starts with an A, shout out to you.
But yes, thank you. I hope many opportunities come from this, even though that's a lot of pressure on this little podcast.
Oh, if
But
you're
yeah.
in Herzliya and you're bored, hit me up. I don't know. I'm bored. Actually, I'm not going to be that bored, but I go to like I'm in grad school right now and I go to class twice a week. So hit me up, you know?
Yeah, so maybe we can make some friend shidduchim or some real shidduchim.
Yeah, by all
But
means.
but yeah, so thank you again. And Sticky Situation Nation, you'll catch me next time. Bye everybody.
Bye.